welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one that I've been really excited to make for a while now, and it is a beginner's tutorial on how I do my Dutch braids. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've been here for a while with the family, you'll see that I have been rocking these Dutch braids all the time. It's probably honestly my favorite hairstyle to do. And this is for many reasons, but one of them being it's probably one of the first hairstyles that I was able to do after growing my hair back that allowed me to really have all my hair pulled back. And so that really helped with like day 2, 3 hair and being able to work out and do activities. So today I'm gonna do a little mini tutorial to teach you, hopefully try my best to teach you how to do Dutch braids. So first off, what is a Dutch braid and how does it differ from a French braid? So I'm going to put a little chart up right here, but basically a Dutch braid is braiding underneath versus a French braid is braiding over top. So whenever anybody asks me what hairstyles I suggest for shorter hair when you clearly can't do a ponytail because all your hair won't fit in a ponytail, I always suggest a Dutch braid just because you need less hair to braid underneath, and for a French braid you need more hair to braid over top. So that's why this was a go-to hairstyle, and it's easier to get all those layers in because when you're growing your hair out, your hair is all different lengths, you have a ton of layers, and so this is the hairstyle that I found personally was the easiest to just keep all of that somewhat together. So before we start, I'm going to give a few pointers out that I think it's things that are good to know before you start braiding, especially if you're just learning, and then I'll go over the technique. First and foremost, braiding takes a lot of practice. So if it takes you a while to get the hang of it, don't feel discouraged because that's completely normal. Before I lost my hair, I used to braid all the time. I loved braiding and I would braid my hair all the time. When I lost my hair, I obviously stopped braiding, and then I basically had to relearn how to braid hair after, and I would get so frustrated because I knew how to braid hair. But suddenly I didn't know how to braid my hair because my hair was short, there was lots of layers, my hair was much thicker, and I really couldn't get the hang of it, so it took me a lot of practice. I'll put some pictures up here, like these were my first attempts at braiding and it took some practice. So please don't feel discouraged. You're gonna have a really good arm workout, but it'll be worth it in the end. The second thing is that if you're just learning how to braid, I suggest using day 2, 3, 4 hair. This is because if you use clean hair, it's just too clean. You don't have any oils in there, you don't have any grit, and your hair is slippery because it's clean, and you're basically gonna have a braid that's gonna fall out and you're gonna have to end up redoing it. The braid will look cute and loose, but it will fall out, especially if you do have layers. Another thing that I suggest is if you don't want to do it on dirtier hair, try it on damp hair. So let your hair air dry after the shower, and when it's at about 80% dry, that's probably a good time to try braiding it because it's still a little bit wet, so it still has some texture, it's easier to hold and work with, and that way you can also try it out then. Next thing is if you find that your hair is hard to manage, if you have curly hair, if you have lots of short layers, there are products you can put in your hair to help out with that. So one of them that I would suggest is a sea salt spray. So I'm going to link products that I used when I had short hair down in the description box below for you all. But a sea salt spray, or if you have like a lot of baby hairs or a lot of layers as well, you can try a pomade or hairspray at the end. Hairspray at the end is typically what I would go for. But anything that works with your hair, I mean, you know your hair best, so what you think will help manage it will be the best for you. All right, now let's get down to the technique. So I practiced for so long trying to figure out how to like break this down into small steps, because if you know how to braid and then, or even do something well, and then you have to like break it down into steps, it's actually really hard. So first I'm gonna start off with just brushing through my hair here. So this is day 2 hair, but even this can sometimes be like too clean. So just basically the dirtier your hair, the better, and the easier it'll be for you to learn, at least at first. So what I do is first I brush through my hair, and then I just grab a comb and I try to do a really straight middle part and a part all the way down the back as well. My trick for this is to use your phone, take a picture of the back of your head, and that's how you can see if you got a straight part. So then once I've got a part, I'm just going to brush the hair to each side so that way I can separate. So I usually take half of one half and I put it in a pretty tight ponytail. The reason being is I don't want to accidentally grab hair from this side into my braid that's on that side. So I usually just grab a scrunchie. If you have short hair and it doesn't fit into a ponytail, try a few different ponytails or even clips, or just somehow slicking the hair back so that way you don't get it confused, because then the back won't look straight. So I'm going to just hope for the best and assume that the back is pretty straight, which I'm sure it is. And so a few things before I actually show you what we do. So the first thing you want to remember is the way that your hands are positioned is where your braid's going to go. So if you're braiding and you're braiding down like this, your braid's going to follow your hands. If you're braiding up high like this, your braid's going to follow the direction of your hands. So typically for me, I like to do it kind of in the middle because I found, especially when my hair had layers in it, it was easy just to kind of get all the layers in there. And with your hands, they don't get as tired if you just have a nice braid kind of down the middle section. But you can really play around with what works for you. But just remember that where your hand placement is, that is where your braid's going to go in the end. The next thing that you need to remember is when you're adding hair to your braid, as you go, if you add smaller chunks, you're going to have a thinner and more detailed braid, and it's going to take longer to braid the hair because you're taking smaller chunks at a time versus if you take bigger chunks. If you are just learning, or if you have lots of layers in your hair, or if you have thick hair, I suggest doing smaller chunks because your braid will be able to hold in more if you have smaller pieces, and it'll just be tighter and so it won't fall out. And then you can always loosen it at the end, but especially if you have layers, do smaller pieces. It's going to be a little more tiring and going to take a little bit longer, but it will be worth it in the end. So the technique, okay, so I look a little weird right now, but anyways, the technique. So how I braid, I think everyone braids differently, but how I basically taught myself to do this braid is I use like a hand motion like this. So I use my thumb and my index finger and my middle finger. My middle finger acts as a hook, and then I basically hold on and grab the hair with my index and my thumb. You kind of have to envision the technique and then your brain will automatically learn how to do it, but I'm going to try my best to explain it to you right here. So once you have your hair all brushed out, you want to make sure there's no kinks and or knots. You're going to grab a section at the very top right here. Once you do grab the section, you're going to divide it into 3. Okay, so now remember how I said I used my index and my thumb and then my middle finger as a hook? So basically, one hand is going to always have 2 pieces and one hand's going to have 1 piece. And the way you're braiding is you're always going underneath and you're switching with the middle. So you're never going over top because that's a French braid. Dutch braid, you go underneath. The way that I like to think of it is the hand that has only 1 strand of hair, the middle finger acts as a hook, and then this piece goes underneath and then we hook and we basically bring the middle piece over to the side. So we go hook and under. And then now this hand only has 1 piece, so it's going to hook the middle piece and it's going to go under. So to start off the braid, you want to do a few of these without adding hair. So again, this hand only has 1. We're going to hook and we're going to go under. You can also let go, like if one hand is holding to 2 pieces, you can let go of that 3rd piece because sometimes you have like a little kink or something that you want to kind of brush out with your hands, or if you're adding hair. So this is that. Now we're going to add hair. So when you're adding hair, you want to add from the top right here and then from the bottom right here, and we're going to alternate where we add hair from, okay? So this is our 3rd piece that's in that one hand, so I'm just going to grab with my index and my thumb a little bit of hair, and sometimes I even use my pinky just to hold pieces so that way I can straighten it out. So now we have this hair, we're going to hook and we're going to go under. So now it's this turn for this side to be adding hair, so I'm going to grab a little bit with my fingers here, we're gonna hook and we're gonna go under. Now we're gonna grab from this side, we're going to hook and we're gonna go under. And you can kind of see the braids already starting to form. So we're gonna hook from this side again and we are going to go under. Again, you wanna do smaller sections and that way you're gonna have a more detailed braid and it's gonna be tighter. Also, as I braid, I typically pull a little harder just to have a tighter braid, but again, like sometimes I'll use a random finger just to hold so I can like straighten it out so there's no kinks. But this hand only has 1, so we're gonna hook with the middle piece here and go under. The hardest part really is making sure that you're grabbing all the hair from the back, but I kind of just use my fingers and eventually you feel around and you kind of get used to it. So again, we're gonna hook the middle piece and we're gonna go under. You wanna kind of straighten the hair out as you go so we don't end up with a knot. But again, you're gonna practice and eventually it's just gonna kind of become like a routine in your brain. Your hands are just gonna know where to go and it's just gonna be easy. So I'm gonna continue the braid on and then I'll show you at the end how to finish it off. Okay, so once you do get to the bottom, basically if you have short hair and you have layers, I recommend stopping right at the base of your head because you're gonna have your baby hairs kind of coming out, and if you're short hair, you'll see that they're probably already kind of sticking out. So it's okay if you can't get them all in the braid. But what I would do in this case when I had shorter hair is I would just either put a ponytail right here, or I would do like a bun with both ponytails linking at the bottom. And what I love to use, especially when my hair is like thin and short with little braids, is just these clear like elastics. I bought them off Amazon. I got like a pack of like 100 for super cheap. So you can use that. You can use scrunchies, hair elastics. I just found that these were nice and small and they blended with my hair, so it didn't look too bulky when I had a small little braid. But now that I do have longer hair, I'm going to keep going a little bit further. So basically if your hair is long, you can stop whenever you want. But if you have short hair, I suggest stopping right at the bottom of your head. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I'm gonna stop right here. And later on, I'll show you how you can loosen your hair. So this is the first side. And now we're basically going to go and do the exact same thing with the other side. Now the biggest thing you want to remember is to basically have your braid positioned at the same place on the other side, so that way they both match. But I'm just gonna brush this side out to double check that there's no knots or no kinks. And then once again, so we're gonna grab a section right at the top here, and we're going to divide it into 3. So one hand's gonna have 2 and one hand's just gonna have 1. So now the hand that has 1 is going to go under, and it's going to hook with the middle, and it's going to switch. Now this hand has 1, so you're going to hook with the middle piece and you're going to switch. We'll do this one more time. We'll add from the top first again. So we're going to grab a little piece. So again, just use a random finger if you want to hold it so you can straighten the piece out. But now with this extra hair, we're going to hook the middle and we're going to switch. Now we're going to add from down here, hook and switch. Now we're going to add again from up here, hook and switch. Again, remembering to take smaller chunks so that way we have a more detailed and tighter braid, and trying to pull pretty tight to make sure that the braid stays nice and tight. See, I don't even have to look at a mirror. My hands just kind of know what to do. But again, please don't get discouraged. Like you saw at the beginning, at first my braids did not look like this. So keep kind of going there. So for the back, I'll show you what I do. But I typically will take my thumb and kind of just grab the neck section so that way I don't miss anything in the back. And I'm just gonna keep going to the bottom. Okay, and this is the finished look. If you're happy with how this looks, great, you're done. If you have shorter layers and you kind of want to feel a little more secure, here's a few things that I would do. So first off, you can go in with hairspray. If you want to just spray them down and use that to have some extra hold, you can absolutely do that. If you have short layers, what I used to do is I would grab pomade and I would just grab some on either a little brush or on my hands, and I would kind of go over my hair here and just kind of put it through my braids, maybe through the ends, to have a little bit more grit and a little bit more hold. You can also, what I like to do is if you have short hair, you're gonna notice that sometimes you have a layer peeking out, especially probably right here, you'll have just a layer randomly sticking out because it ends before the rest of your hair. So my trick for that, and I would do this a lot when I would go for spin classes, because obviously you don't want your hair to fall out mid spin class, and so you always want to have your hair pinned back. So I would grab a bobby pin, I would open it up like this, and I would kind of take the chunk that was sticking out, put it in place, and then I would just take the bobby pin, shove it in there, and have it basically hold the layer down. So usually you can weave it in there nicely so you can't see it, but even if you can see it a bit, whatever, it doesn't matter. And that would usually do a pretty good job of holding in the braid when I needed it to. And so if you wanted to loosen the braid now, if you feel like this is too tight and if you don't think your layers are gonna come out, basically what you can do is you just take the braids and you just pull at them gently. So then the more you pull, the looser the hair will get, and then the bigger, the chunkier the braid will get. So, but yeah, so that's really it. Like I said again, it takes a lot of practice, so please don't get discouraged. Keep going, practice, practice, practice. Eventually you will it'll be muscle memory and you'll just be able to do it. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help to support me, my channel. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that people are liking my videos, and this way it'll show it to more people, so it really does matter if you just hit the little thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I do also have like an IGTV quick tutorial on my Dutch braids there as well. If you have any other hair related videos you'd like to see, I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments below. And if you do try this, please post a story on Instagram and tag me in it. I'd love to see it. But for now, that is all. So know yourself, know your body, and until next time.